For days on end, you've been walking, carrying a rucksack on your back that's pretty much the weight of a small human being. You've hiked up hills, climbed up cliffs, traversed rivers, and throughout this certain kind of hell, you've hardly slept at all. But you know what? You're okay with it. You'll survive. And that's because you've been through one of the training regimes we'll talk about today. Navy SEALs. Okay, so you want to be a Navy SEAL. You can see yourself running for miles on end singing, "I don't know, but I've been told the frogman's money is good as gold." We won't spend too much time on the basic stuff because we think many of you could get through the beginning of the training. That's what they call the Navy SEAL Physical Screening Test. Can you run a mile and a half in less than 9.5 minutes? Sure you can. Can you do 75 sit-ups and 75 push-ups? No sweat. But that's just the beginning. You've proved nothing at all. Next, you have boot camp. And if you can get through that, you'll begin what's called basic underwater demolition. Guys in the military just call it BUDS. It's phase 1 of BUDS that seems to be the hardest, and that's where most people drop out. In fact, from what we can see, on average only 33% of trainees get through phase 1. If you can make it through this phase, it's very likely you'll become a SEAL. Phase 1 is basically weeding out the weakest, and we should also say that through this 7-week phase, some people just get injured. Think about it, it makes sense. If you're not physically and mentally tough, there's no real point in taking you to the next level. That's why the first phase is all about physical and mental conditioning, and it includes something called Hell Week, which doesn't sound like a very nice week at all. These are just some of the things you'll have to do in the first few weeks of Phase 1 training. A 1,000-yard swim with your fins on in less than 20 minutes. Be able to do at least 70 push-ups in less than 2 minutes. Be able to do at least 10 pull-ups in less than 2 minutes. And you must be capable of running 4 miles fully clothed in less than 31 minutes. And you'll be doing stuff like this all the time, and other activities that include beach runs and swimming in the ocean. Then there's also the BUDS obstacle course. You'll have to complete time and again, which might remind you of the countless movies made about military training schools. Hell Week itself is 5 days and 5 nights of almost constant training, and recruits will only be allowed to sleep a few hours during this entire period. It's hell for sure, and a lot of guys drop out during Hell Week. Recruits will be running, swimming in the ocean, building and carrying boats, crawling through the mud, being screamed at the entire time, and they'll be constantly cold and wet. It's hard to train for because when we looked at websites where SEALs talked about Hell Week, it seems there are different kinds of hell. One exercise might simply be carrying a 300-pound log with another guy to help you. This is how one guy put it. Too cold, too much stress, too many push-ups, too much running, too much water skills. Pretty much BUDS will give you too much of everything. He said half of the recruits he was with dropped out by the end of Hell Week. He said each day was continuous running, crawling, swimming, carrying around heavy things. They got to eat, but then it was back to exercises. He said the nights and days merged. He could barely think. He just did what he was told to do, and the whistle became his master. The food was hot, which was good because he said most men spent the entire time shivering because they were so cold and so wet. After 3 days of this, he said the remaining men go into zombie mode, running down the beaches with a boat above their heads. His exact words were, "Hell Week will turn you into a caveman, but once it's over, you've definitely earned your right to become a Navy SEAL." SAS. Is SAS training hard? Well, if you do a bit of research, you'll find it's so hard that men have recently died doing it. In fact, it was too hard. Some guys in the SAS actually ended up in court after 3 trainees died during one of the challenges. What challenge was that, you might ask? Well, it was a fairly simple exercise. Recruits were just given very heavy backpacks and told to march up and down hills in the blistering heat without resting too much. How hard could that be, you're thinking? Well, one guy died from heat stroke and 2 other guys died from multiple organ failure. It was very hard as you can get. That's hardly debatable seeing as 3 men died. We found a guy who had actually passed the hills stage of training, and he said that essentially men spend 4 weeks in rural Wales running up hills carrying their weapons in a backpack weighing 70 pounds. His exact words were, "My course started with 350 guys and finished with 13. That's a bigger dropout rate than the Navy SEALs, and the man that said this said all of the guys doing the training were already pretty fit since they'd already passed the first phase of selection. This is called the Special Forces Briefing Course. The first phase is not only about fitness, but it's also about map reading, IQ testing, military knowledge, and first aid. But you'll have to show that you can swim 100 meters fully clothed in under 3 minutes, and you'll also have to do a 2-mile run in under 18 minutes. 350 guys could do that, and we expect some of you could do it too. But could you run up and down hills for a week? The answer is likely no, since 13 soldiers only made it past that week in one of the programs. Okay, so down to 13 men. Is it now over? No, the answer is not even close. The guy we just talked about said his small team of recruits were then flown to the jungles of Brunei, and they spent 6 weeks living among ants, mosquitoes, flies, centipedes, snakes, spiders, you name it. He said everything was trying to eat him in that jungle. The trainers are all watching all the time, seeing how good the men's survival skills are. Those trainers lay traps for the men, and some men almost lose their minds in the dense jungle. When that's done, they want to break you mentally. This will be your hostage scenario training, and it's basically torture. Its full name is Survive, Evade, Resist, Extract Training. You'll be grabbed hold of, roughed up, held in very painful positions, and you'll be interrogated. If you can hold on for 36 hours without getting too distressed or giving any information away, you've passed. Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz is basically a term that's used for all Russian special military units, and the training is special too. It's hard to find the specifics, but every soldier will of course have to go through a basic orientation course. The training after that, the physical side anyway, is all about endurance and strength. Spetsnazovцы are expected to be stronger and fitter than other Russian soldiers, and if they can't prove that, they're out. They're expected to rappel from buildings and cliffs, jump out of aircraft, and just like the SAS, they do special mountain training. But they'll do it during freezing winter months. They'll be dropped off in some mountainous terrain, given a survival pack, and then expected to get out within 2 weeks. Another big aspect of this training is basically having a fight. Spetsnaz are well known to be good at one-on-one combat, and a big part of the training will involve learning how to strike, how to wrestle, and how to snap a man's bones when he's down on the floor. Training for a Spetsnaz unit is a bit like training for an MMA fight. The actual martial art they'll use is called Sambo, which was developed during the period of the Soviet Union. It's kind of a mix of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and boxing, but it also allows headbutts, groin strikes, and elbow strikes. Is it a good martial art? Well, why not ask Khabib Nurmagomedov that question? If you don't know that name, he's one of the best MMA fighters that ever walked the earth. He started out his fighting career doing Sambo. Sometimes the fight won't be fair though, because another part of the training is learning how to fight someone who's holding a knife or a metal bar. The recruits are asked to disable that guy and take away his weapon while not getting hit. Could it get any worse? Well, if you believe the British tabloid media, something which you should do at your own risk, some recruits were asked to fight huge, mean, maddened dogs during their training. They won't even get to that point if they can't run 100 meters in less than 13 seconds, which is actually very hard for most people. They'll also have to show that they can run 1.9 miles in less than 12 minutes, which is also pretty damn hard. Then there are the stories of recruits being held at the shoulders and legs by 2 other men. A cinder block is placed on the man's chest, and that block is covered with gasoline and set on fire. Another man subsequently breaks the block in 2 with a huge sledgehammer. If you don't believe that, search for the photos. Don't ask us why they do this though. Does the harshness of the training make them better soldiers? Well, that's not for us to say. The British tabloids say the SAS doesn't think too much of the Spetsnaz units, but the British tabloids would say that. One guy writing about the Spetsnaz soldiers wrote on a forum, if American soldiers had to pass that training, they would most likely quit before finishing. The Spetsnaz is the closest you can get to a superhumanoid battle droid. You can discuss that topic later in the comments, but first, let's have a look at Cyarat Matkal. Cyarat Matkal. This is part of Israel's Special Forces units, one of the reconnaissance units along with Cyarat 13 and Unit 5101. The former is much like the British SAS and is actually based on the SAS when it comes to not just how it operates, but also how its recruits train. Obviously, Cyarat Matkal guys are not dying on hills in Wales, so what do they have to endure during their training? Well, when this unit started, it was actually quite a secret operation and sounded like something from a Hollywood movie. That's because only the best soldiers would be picked to join, and they had to keep it secret. They'd get a tap on the shoulder one day and they'd be told they're taking part in a serious covert operation. These days, it's not the same, and now any soldier can volunteer to take part in the training programs that happen twice a year. Like the other units we've talked about today, many people don't make it through that training. The selection camp is called Gibush, and soldiers are put through hell for days on end, and like the SEALs Hell Week, they won't get much sleep. It's so bad that doctors and psychologists need to monitor the trainees all the time. Okay, so once they get through that, they'll have 20 months of training. This will include lots of reconnaissance training, so that means these guys will be dropping into dense jungles and swimming through murky swamps. It's all about learning how to handle yourself behind enemy lines. It's about the art of not being seen. Of course, they will have arms training and parachuting courses, but they'll also learn martial arts and go on very, very long hikes. One of those is 75 miles, with a heavy backpack on and with weapons. One of the particularly dangerous things they have to do is part of their orienteering exercises. Soldiers are taken to some jungle or desert or mountainous region in a foreign country and are expected to survive, get out of there, and arrive at a specific location. This is the kind of exercise that a lot of special forces do around the world. The one big difference with Cyarat Matkal is that the soldiers get dropped off by themselves. They are, of course, monitored from a distance, but they have no one to help them if they need a helping hand. They have no one to talk to during those dark nights in the jungle, and that must be utterly terrifying. Sometimes the land won't be jungle, but the guys will be left in the swamps or rivers for hours, even days, in all locations all over the world. Sometimes just one recruit will be sent out alone and told to evade capture for as long as possible. The guys coming after him are the people that have already been through the training. Now, we think you should watch this video. What are the most elite special forces in the world? Or this video. What makes Black Ops the world's most dangerous soldiers?